am I the only one who thinks this is incredibly sad? So for those of you who don't know, there's a game called Hearts of Iron. Now, you've got a few options if you're a Hearts of Iron fan. The first option is that you're trans. The second option, that you're a brony and you like the MLP mod. The third option is that you believe in some weird niche ideology. And the fourth option is fascist. Now, of course, you could put fascist under the previous category, but I would say that there's enough of them. There's enough of them that they deserve their own category. I think the fifth one, maybe I could just include as like a history ball Predator tier, you know, where like countries are just kind of like, it's all just kind of cute comic. I don't know. There's a bunch of different types of Hearts of Iron fans, and I say this with all malice intended, as if it was a slur off my tongue, especially since I have 2,000 hours in Hearts of Iron, right? So I'm saying this from the bowels of the belly of the beast, somebody who's put enough time into the Fallout mod, put enough time into the Road to 56, put enough time into the Kaiser Reich and all the other versions of Kaiser Reich, which I just mean like other alternative history mods and all the like TNO, of course, for all the TNO fans out there. Hearts of Iron, though, good enough Paradox game. Obviously the biggest of all of the Hearts of Iron series, Hearts of Iron 4. Now, there is I think his name's Gunther. He is a pro-NATO, pro-EU old man who just kind of goes around soy jacking about the West. I don't know how to best explain it. Besides, a bunch of people think it's humorous and entertaining how this old man like memes about the West, you know, while being pro-West. That's that. I mean, that seems to be the reason why people follow him. Not the only reason, I imagine, but when I see the level of the takes that are sometimes put out, sometimes they're okay. His takes range from good, okay, to what the fuck are you even talking about? That's the full range. And shit, of course, but also what the fuck are you even? Now, for whatever reason, this old man decided to play The Fire Rises, which is one of the shittier Hoi 4 mods, against Grisha, who is a streamer in Russia who has gotten out of military service by convincing authorities that his Hearts of Iron streams are of significant propaganda value. And so they let him do this for a living. Kind of this, I guess this is when you're on the front, if you're a Russian soldier, if for some reason you've drunkenly stumbled into my stream, you're a Russian soldier and you're in some shithole. When I say shithole, I don't mean like shithole country or like shit like Donald Trump says it. I mean literally a shithole. I mean a hole in the ground that you're hiding in, that you're so scared of all of the constant buzz of drone that if you were to get out of the hole, to shit you would die. So it has become a shithole that the only moments that you rise from the shithole is to drink the mud water that has accumulated next to your trench in order to get some sort of sustenance as the 1 or 2 loaves of bread that can be airdropped to your position, half of them miss, and you don't have enough water. You certainly don't have the equipment to boil water. If you're that guy, know that Grisha has played video games on your behalf. This able-bodied young man in his, I don't know if he's still a teenager. He might be in his young 20s now. He has been able to get out of military service, while you, the 50-year-old debtor, statistically on average, that's not me being an asshole like, oh, the old man army. I mean that statistically on average, the demographics of the new Russian volunteers are not particularly young and able-bodied men. They're between the ages of like 44 and 50 years old. These are people who are debtors. These are people who have lost their employment opportunities otherwise, because outside of the war economy, the economy is not going well in Russia when it comes to construction, when it comes to automobile manufacturing, when it comes to general consumer goods, when it comes to issues of the cost of living increases, when it comes to the targeting of the oil and gas industry, which is the major engine of Russia's services and such. Now, anyway, here is Grisha playing Hoi 4 against that old man I described earlier. And this is an edit that was posted on RussiaToday.com, their social medias, which I can access here in Ukraine for some reason, on Twitter, on social media. Look at that. Freedom of expression lives today. Anyway, here is an edit that was posted of them as Russian state media celebrates, and I quote, Russia single-handedly defeats NATO in a video game. Streamer Grisha Putin. One thing I love about modern Russian culture is originality. Annihilated the bloc in Hearts of Iron 4, playing against Austrian NATO activist Gunther Feilinger, 6 other coalition players who couldn't do anything against his Russian empire, and they just post like a hype edit.
People of the Russian Empire, citizens and soldiers, are you ready to cross the Rubicon? Are you ready? Are you ready to use force if it would be necessary for our plan to succeed?
Earlier this week, I watched a bunch of Russians using motorcycles to try to launch offensive operations, huddled together, scurry together as one $878 FPV drone flown by a single Ukrainian pilot flies around a corner. 20 to 30 Russians huddle together, start scurrying inside before it makes impact. We have seen videos of Russian soldiers drinking mud water. We have seen videos of Russian soldiers refusing to go on assaults, and so they get thrown in pits. They get beaten by command. They get tied to trees. They do whatever is necessary to get men charging forward. There has been tons and tons of instances of Africans recruited for their fitness, told that they're going to be able to be an athlete in Russia, told they're going to be able to do construction work, or maybe there's some offer of some, exchange program for students. We have seen them have their passports taken and sent to the front. There are so many instances where the Russians get humiliated on a daily basis, militarily, economically, and even culturally, to be quite frank. And we've gotten to the point where Russian state news cannot show victories on the battlefield. The last major Russian victory on the battlefield, probably the fall of Hulepole, Nestor Makhno's original hometown, for those curious. And that was months ago. And that was not on the Donetsk axis. We're trying to advance forward in order to capture the bastions of resistance that still exist on the Ukrainian side. That was on the Zaporizhia front, where near the city of Zaporizhia to its south, the Ukrainians are actually pushing the Russians back. You go to Kupiansk, and that's a whole other disaster for the Russian army. You go to Sumy, and the Russians continue to try to go in there, but I've seen the bodies. I've smelt the bodies come back from Sumy. this is video game propaganda, not and when I say video game propaganda, when people say video game propaganda, you imagine like a Red Dawn style video game production. But I've seen Russian state-backed video games, and they're garbage. And so instead, they've taken a Western video game, they've applied a mod that is sympathetic to them, and then they have won a video game against an old man. And this was enough to serve in front of 500,000 people on social media. These are the victories of the great Russian Empire. I just want to say that I shake in fear of this little twink. I shake in fear of this little twink. God, the pencil bar mustache isn't doing much to help there. Why does he have a medal? What did he do? Is that a medal for his war in video games? To be clear, this is not, he doesn't like serve on the front. This is not a guy who like spends 1 month doing assault operations or a month doing drone operations and then a month, directing soldiers on Hoi 4 for the glory of Russia. No, this is just an interesting fella who is apparently giving Russia its biggest success right now. Hero of the LARPer Wars. Look, there are a lot of cringe nonsense in Hearts of Iron. Okay, I mean, I don't even wanna. For a government to have such pathetic military performance, where they have to rely on the Twitch twink in order to produce an outcome of military victory that cannot be achieved in the real world, could not ever conceivably be achieved in the real world. I mean, when I look at Ukraine update reports, and I'm looking at, I mean, you can go to Rybar, you can go to Ukraine Daily Updates, you can go to Deep State if you really, you can go to any number of these sources, look at what's being fought over. We're talking about like sometime for a week, it could be like a string of houses or an outhouse. You know how many Russians I've seen die in outhouses? A surprising amount. I mean, one is a surprising amount for somebody to die in a toilet. One, at least in person. And this is what we do instead. We have them play video games. What I mean, like at this point, just take footage from Modern Warfare 2 when the Russians are like storming the White House, put a funk edit over it, and just ship it. And then you don't have to, defer the twink for military service. God. It would be a lot easier for me to laugh at this and not just kind of feel like a numb revulsion at like just the what Russians consider victory now, which is, well, we won in the video game, so maybe that's what we offer them. Look, here's my new offer to Russia. They can have all the victories in video games that they want. They can play this a million times over. They can keep bullying this old man in a video game if they just stop killing themselves demographically in their forever war in Ukraine.
A curd is a curd.
Trex1983 has donated $5. Wargaming propaganda is Dylan live streaming a Kyiv run in EU5. With love from the Great White North.
By the way, why would it be an old man? I mean, do you know how, by the way, how pathetic is it like that he chose this old man? Like, why not? There's like prominent pro-Ukraine Hoi 4 players he could have actually like gone up against, right? Like, isn't like Bo Cohen's around? I think he used to be. Isn't Grisha from Bo Cohen? I don't even know all the lore. Who gives a fuck? Who actually cares to know that much? But why not like choose somebody who can like play the game? Like, this is the equivalent of like getting your grandmother to like go against you in like Mario Kart, and then you like doing a backflip after you like blue shell her while she is just like actively driving into the wall over and over. Again, like, this is not like the Hoi 4 has a lot of mechanics to, it's not like a Street Fighter where you just like hit like a few buttons and you're like, oh well, okay, that's punch, that's kick. Like, there might be some more complicated combinations, but I mean, I know how to do those two things. So Hearts of Iron, you got to know production, you've got to know construction, you've got to know resources, you've got to know how to manage your convoys, you got to know the Air Force, you got to know the Army, you've got to know the Navy, you got to know production for all three of these forces. You've got to know like the finer components if you want to make tanks that are actually going to be gang busting instead of, just like a waste of military production. And he just like chose some old man who didn't know what he was doing, and then overwhelmed an old man who didn't know what he was doing. It's interesting though. It's interesting. This is the state of Russian propaganda. Well, you know what? They can keep doing this because this is the only scenario where they're going to be marching on Berlin.
By rules?
On Gunther realizing that not even 7 Hoi 4 veterans can outmatch one autistically sensitive Russian.
By rules?
Currently, yes. Okay. So here's what's happening. Here's what's happening now. All of our troops just got teleported out of Ukraine. Get them back right now.
Yeah, he completely strap bombing our ass. Oh my god.
Yeah, we're getting
Wait,
fucked.
he's strap bombing us?
Yes, we're being strat bombed.
Oh.
I don't have any trains left.
Everybody
Zero trains.
build anti-air.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah. Let me do that real quick with my no industry.
Yeah, I see. I have no infrastructure left in fucking Germany.
We are in deep shit.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we are in
Alright.
deep shit. This is right, Gunther.
Grisha is a
Oh,
All right, are
bastard.
we ready to unpause?
Like this, there's like a real war going on. Why is Grisha not fighting the war? And like, I like Hoi 4. I like video games. Video games are cool when I can actually play them, when I have time to play them. But I don't have time to play them when I'm like, I don't know, writing an article or filming about lead poisoning in Baltimore or bedded on the front or managing Track Ukraine or like doing something actually related to the war effort. Why is he just why not go to the front? Like to be clear, he can play Hearts of Iron whenever. 10 years from now, Hearts of Iron 5 could be around. Why not go to the front that you can only go to while the war is going on? I mean, look, if his thing is he wants to fight like old men, I promise you, with the demographic reality of the front line, he'll be fighting with old men largely against old men.